Okay, so we're going to continue with the concept of putting Jesus first and what does that look like. I had a video about where I discussed how relationships can get in the way of that, and sometimes we put our partner in first position instead of Jesus. And now I'm going to talk about how we do that with money, because we've all done it. It's something I think we have to keep in check all the time, and I've kind of gotten some downloads about this recently because we live in this world that tells us kind of the opposite of what Jesus and how Jesus tells us to live our lives. The world tells us that making the most money is the goal, that it's the sign of success, and that should be your life plan, to make as much money as possible and be successful because that's what it's all about. Well, that's not at all what Jesus says. God could care less about worldly success. It's really about making a difference and helping us all evolve by helping each other and serving God in whatever way your gifts do that. Money is just a secondary thing. It should not be the focus, and it is not the answer. It can be an addiction. It can be a way that we try to validate our worth, even at times, and to make us feel successful or worthy, and it's really has nothing to do with God's plan. It's really a means to an end, and yes, we need to you know survive and cover our bills, but it's not the end all. It's really more about what kind of a difference are you making through what you're doing and improving people's lives, because that's what lasts for eternity. You can be a stockbroker and make a ton of money, and at the end of your life it's like, so what? That had no meaning at all. You want your service and this time on earth to really count for eternity. Like, yeah, I actually help change lives and bring people into a higher vibration of living. So anyway, it can very easily become a focus, and I've even seen people, where they kind of look to money as the answer, like it's the end all, it's the savior. um, it's like, oh, as soon as I retire, everything will be better. As soon as my inheritance comes through, oh, as soon as my settlement comes through, oh, as soon as I get this better paying job, it's all going to be better. Yeah, well, that's not how it works. So in a meditation recently, God was showing me how money is just a vehicle. It's not God. It is so far from being able to provide the way God does. It's very much limited in its ability to bring true happiness or love, and God can bring us everything. So when I was in my meditation, it was like God was saying, Shia, you're acting like that's the answer, like that's what you need, what you have to have, that it's going to make everything better, and you keep waiting, for this investment to come through, and like your life depends on it, and that's just not the way to live. Jesus was like, I am enough. I am your answer. I can lead you where you need to go financially, if you're wanting to change things. And it just really was quite an adjustment to how I was thinking. And so many of us get, fall into that worldly way of, how our career and how much money we make is really the status symbol for like how important we are or something. And God could care less. He asked his disciples to leave everything. And he even told the rich man, you lack one thing. You may do everything else right in life, but he said, you're so attached to your money that in your comfort zones around it, that it gets in your way of truly serving God with all your heart. So make sure that's not you. We have to make sure our priorities are in place, and Jesus is the priority. He's where everything comes from: money, love, happiness, all of it. And let's not fall into that same old rut that so many people do, where they're just like that, on that rat race, and it's never going to satisfy. You can have all the money in the world, but you're still you, and if you're not feeling whole, and if you spiritually aren't connected, you know, then you really have nothing. So, I mean, for eternity, as far as like importance for eternity, unless you're using it for, you know, the higher good. So that's the lesson for today, to keep Jesus first. Make sure money doesn't become an idol or a stronghold, or, you know, like looking at it as some kind of savior, because it's just part of life. It's not the goal of life. Jesus is, and the more spiritually powerful you are, actually, the more successful you are.